And we keep hearing about how this is a super tight race. Well, according to 538 national polling, Donald Trump is leading Kamala Harris as the preferred president, 48% to 46%. But as we know, it's the battleground states that will decide who's the next commander-in-chief. Joining us now is New York pollster and founder of John Zogby Strategies, John Zogby. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Hi, Gabriella. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to really break down the numbers. What's your assessment, firstly, of where they're at the moment when you look at Donald Trump and Kamala Harris?
You know, amidst all the turbulence and conflict that we hear about this campaign, the fact is we're at equilibrium. I mean, this is about as close as it gets. And, you know, there may be an event and Kamala Harris gets a bump, and an assassination attempt, Donald Trump gets a bump. But the fact of the matter is it always finds its way back to about as close to a tie as you can get.
Yeah, it's interesting. A Quinnipiac University national poll showed that Donald Trump is just ahead at 48% to Kamala Harris's 47%. But then CNN's latest findings showed that Kamala Harris is at 48% and Mr. Trump is at 47%. So as you say, it's just as close as it gets. But looking at those numbers, it doesn't really matter who's the most popular. Is that right?
Well, it does. I mean, in the sense that given the way our electoral college is structured, Kamala Harris needs to be at least 3.5 to 4 percentage points ahead of Donald Trump, because in the popular vote, she gets a lot of extra votes in popular votes in California and Illinois and New York, large states. But no, you're absolutely right. It all comes down to 7 states: Southern Rim, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia, and then what we call the Northern Wall, and that is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And there's all sorts of scenarios here. For example, when Joe Biden was still in, the anticipation was that the Democrats would lose the Southern Rim, which meant then that Joe Biden would have to win all 3 of the Northern Wall, and then pick up 2 more electoral votes, one in Nebraska and one in Maine. That's how kind of crazy this is.
Both candidates are putting a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Is there a state you view as the most important?
It is Pennsylvania. Yeah, it is a battleground state. It's tied and has the largest number of electoral votes. The path to victory is through Pennsylvania.
Do you expect there's going to be a big shift in the polls between now and November 5, or is it going to stay as close as it is at the moment?
Well, you know, look at in a world where anything can happen, in U.S. politics, anything has already happened several times.
Yeah.
We've got, 42 or 43 more days to go. Anything more can happen several times. And so I don't even venture a prediction, but I suspect we'll be at equilibrium for a while.
Are pollsters undercounting Donald Trump's voter support?
Yeah, you know, there are some pollsters, I think, who underrepresent Republicans. And my experience, and it's 40 years now, Republicans appear to be less likely to answer the phone or to respond to surveys. Folks like me, I've always adjusted my sample and applied in a little extra weight, you know, to make sure that Republicans are equitably, not equally necessarily, but equitably represented to reflect, you know, how people have voted in presidential elections. Some don't. And sometimes I do see some of the big name pollsters coming in with samples that oversample Democrats and undersample Republicans. I'm a little suspicious. And no, I'm not going to mention any names.
Okay. Look, an NBC National News poll put Kamala Harris's favourability jumping 16 points since July. That's massive. What do you put that down to?
Well, you know, the book on Kamala Harris was that she was a do-nothing vice president, that the White House itself didn't trust her, and that she was harsh. But, you know, once she became the candidate, there was a change in the conversation. There was the smile and the laugh. She's very good out there. Plus, let's admit it, she's gotten a bit of a nice honeymoon from the press.
Oh, she absolutely has. I think the mainstream left-wing media has a fair bit to do with that. Final question. If this election were to be held tomorrow, where would you be putting your money?
Oh, I'm not putting my money anywhere yet at all. If you're going to place a bet, don't come to me just yet. I'll tell you when.
Fair enough. We'll have to chat again between now and November 5. John Zogby from John Zogby Strategies, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you.